Hello and welcome to Unicorn Dust Designs. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Sammy. In this video, we are going to upcycle some thrifted finds. We're also going to get into a lot of wood projects, but hopefully y'all are ready to get inspired with some patriotic Americana DIYs. Make sure to like and subscribe.
First one is going to be with a rolling pin. Now, I already coated this with Salvation Solution, which is a wood blocker by DIY. Now I'm just going to be measuring my pin to see where my middle point is. I did 2 other rolling pins on my live from last week, so definitely head over and check that out. I have it on Facebook and YouTube. I used some painter tape and I just went around the rolling pin where we marked the middle. Now I'm taking Hay Sailor, and Hay Sailor is going to be our closest to navy blue in the DIY paint collection. And I'm going to paint the entire side of this, including the handles. I did give this 2 coats of blue, and of course I always show you what it looks like dried down versus when it's wet. It is such a beautiful blue color. Now I'm going to take my fine grit sanding block and I am going to distress that down all over the blue, the body of it, the handles of it. You can also wet distress this as well, or don't distress it at all. After I clean that up, I'm going to get these reusable stencils that I created on my Cricut. I knew that I was probably going to use these rounded circles in a future project, so that's why they're in a round shape. So I'm going to take my stencil brush from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take vintage linen, and I am just doing a very light coat on my brush. I'm drying as I'm like going around the rolling pin so I don't smear my paint. And I am going to follow this all around the rolling pin. Now I decided that the big ones just weren't quite enough for me. So I'm also going to use the smaller star stencils that I made and kind of go around and fill in those blanks. After I'm done with this and it completely dries, I'm going to move that painter's tape over the blue part. Now, you want to leave like a hairline of that blue sticking out. That way you can overlap your paint colors and you don't have any like gap showing in between the 2 colors. Now I'm going to take vintage linen and I am going to give it 2 coats on the body of the rolling pin and 1 coat on the handle. I really didn't have to do the handle. I just wasn't thinking at the time, so you can skip that part if you recreate this. After I'm done doing my coats of white, we are going to go ahead and grab our painter's tape. Now, I was trying to be like precise and space these properly and line them up. However, once I was done, I realized there wasn't enough space, so I had to end up eyeballing it and moving those stripes myself. All right, now once I'm done doing that, we're gonna grab Marquee. Now there's 2 reds in DIY paint. There's Marquee and Carnival Red. Marquee is gonna be your true red. This is gonna be your country red, your Christmas red. This is the red that you want to grab for patriotic DIYs. And yeah, here Hank. And we are going to paint this on. I did decide that I wanted to paint the handle and like, the top part or the base of the handle, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. Red as well. I like blanked out because Hank's barking. Jeez Louise. All right. So this is where I end up painting the handles. I thought about leaving that white as is, but it just wasn't looking right to me. So I ended up painting all of that red. I just was very careful about my lines when I was going right here. So, or you could have just painted it all red and then done the white stripes. I mean, you do you. I will say that my intention was for the bottom half was to put vinyl stars on the wood pin, then paint over and peel back the vinyl to see the wood. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. Okay, so now I'm going to take the wet distressing method and I'm going to do that for just the red sections. I'm not going to touch the white or distress the white down. After I dry that with my heat gun, I'm going to come in with our clear wax and I'm going to clear the entire pin. I'm also going to grab our dark DIY wax and we are going to kind of brush that on the edges. And then whatever I have left over on the brush, I'm going to put throughout the entire body of our rolling pin just to give it more of an aged look. I am going to be restocking my DIY paints and waxes. I do have the dark wax right now. I have Marquee and I have Hey Sailor in stock. So head over to the website. The link is in the description box for you. And keep in mind, once you hit this with your wax, it is cleared. You don't have to coat it with anything else. Let it cure overnight and then it's ready to display or sell or do what you want with it. And look at how cute this little vignette is. I absolutely love it. If you are somebody that, gets rolling pins every time you head to the thrift store like me, then this is going to be a beautiful project to do for the patriotic seasons or just everyday decor if that's what you like. So drop me a flag in the comments if you liked this DIY. This is probably my favorite one out of this entire video. I took this 4x4 and you'll see on the right, we sawed that off of one of the posts that I created the birdhouse with on my outdoor hack video. And so I am going to create one of those like finials that I DIY'd on a previous video. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? So I am going to paint two sides, opposite sides in the Hey Sailor. And then I am going to paint the other sides in stripes. And for this one, I'm going to do the same thing as I did with that one flag. I'm just going to free hand this. It just makes it look a little bit more like rustic, like I said, organic, but feel free to use your painter's tape if you would like. After this, I'm going to dip into the marquee as well, and then also create some stripes. But I wanted you guys to watch me dry the paint, I guess. Okay, here we go. Now here's the marquee right here, okay? And it's okay if it's not covering all the wood. I want it to look rustic and worn, and I'm even going to sand it down a little bit more later. So I do this on opposite sides of the 4x4. After that's done, I'm going to take Salvation Solution, which is the DIY. It's a stain blocker. And this was probably, it was used on a staircase. And even though I cleaned it and everything, I'm sure it has oils and tannins would come through. So we're just going to ensure that we block all of that from coming through. So I put that on. We're going to let that dry. Then I'm going to take vintage linen and I'm going to do 2 coats. Now, you guys, my mystery question for the giveaway, this is actually, I was inspired by Kim from Ivy and Jute. Check out her channel. What are you most grateful for? So that is my mystery question to answer down in the comments. What are you most grateful for? I will say that I am very grateful for you guys, for my community. You guys have really stuck with me as I've changed kind of my channel and my style. You guys have supported me as I've tried new ventures, and you guys are always encouraging me, which I truly appreciate and am grateful for every single day, that I have such a strong people around me. I don't know. You guys, okay, all right, don't cry. I'm not crying, you're crying. All right, after I'm done with this, you guys, I am going to take the sanding block, and I wanted to do this instead of wet distressing because I felt like it gave it more of a rustic, not rustic look. I wanted like the scratchy look from the sanding block. So that's why I chose to use this. And then again, she pulls out the reusable stencil and puts stars on something. Shocker. I'm going to take the clear wax by DIY and we are going to clear this. But before we clear I'm just going to say that the topper, we want to make sure we screw our hole before putting wax on. So you guys remember the DIY, the flip that I did in a previous video, and we could not decide if we wanted to put the flag in there. Well, this one, I decided to go for it, and I'm so happy I did. This looks so good, you guys. So now we just have to attach the topper to the other piece. I did wax that. So I just took some wood glue. I let that set overnight. And then look at how good that looks with the flag in there. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. It was such a great way of putting two pieces together. And these, you guys, scrap pieces. It was scrap. The top part was a scrap piece, the 4x4. So I love how this all came together. Comment with a star down below if you are digging this one. We're going to start off right away with Hay Sailor. So I told you guys in the previous video, I'm going to be using Hay Sailor and marquee as well as vintage linen in a lot of my Americana, red, white, and blue videos. This should all be back in stock as of tonight. I am going to paint the front, the back, and the sides. I don't do the inside or the handles because I am planning on distressing this down. So some of that creamy color is gonna pop back through. So I only do one coat of the blue. Then I'm gonna go in with marquee on the bigger one, and we are going to paint that up again, leaving the inside and the handles in that beautiful cream color. I surprisingly only had to do one coat of this. I knew since I was distressing it down that if it was a little streaky, it was no big deal. So now I'm going to take my baby wipe. You could also do a wet paper towel or microfiber cloth, and I'm going to distress this back so that we can see those beautiful details pop once again. And I'm going to do the same thing on the red. Now, the inside of this heart was a little difficult, so I ended up just going over the big, you'll see right here, and I ended up just distressing the whole thing because trying to do this, it looked so weird. So I ended up just distressing it. Now I'm going to take Big Top, and I'm going to clear both pieces with this. I wanted to darken up that color again, so that's why I chose not to go with clear wax. And I'm going to do this with the Hay Sailor and this one. And Big Top is like a polyacrylic, okay? After I'm done with that, y'all know I'm extra and I could not just leave these. And I knew I was adding fabric to them that had a little bit of gold speckle in it. So I'm taking my gold gilded wax and I'm putting the lightest amount on both of them. Now I'm taking this strips of fabric, and all you do is make several loops, and you want to leave some tassels hanging. And we're going to grab a scrap of fabric, and then we're just going to tie it off in the middle. Just double knot it. Very easy. It looks rustic. I love it. And I needed to use this stuff up. Now I'm taking the Titebond Quick and Thick. I didn't know if this was going to work, but it did. And look at how these turned out. I really love them. I love that the Big Top brightened them up. Leave me a heart down in the comments if you like these as well. They're going to look beautiful with lamb's ear and some baby breaths in them, or even staged just like they are now in a bookshelf or on a countertop. I love the rustic element of the messy bows. You can see the little bit of gold flake in the fabric. These turned out for our next one. We are going to take, I think this is a 2x6, and I am going to place some folk art crackle medium straight onto the raw wood. I'm going to allow that to dry, and then I'm just going to freehand my square on here. I'm not looking for perfection at all. I want it to look like somebody hand painted it, so that is why I'm not using painter's tape here. And then I am just going to dry it down before moving on to the next step. Now I'm going to take my vintage linen, and I am going to make 2 stripes here. I always start it off with the white versus the red, because if I try to put the white over the red, you're going to see that overlap. So I do the white first, and then we're going to go in with the red. You could already see some of that crackle coming through, which I absolutely love. Now I'm going to take marquee, and we are going to do the same thing. I really love how organic this looks instead of the very straight lines that the tape would have given us. I'm going to grab my stencil. You guys, I think I have used this so many times. If you have a Cricut, definitely make reusable stencils, especially if you're somebody that's crafting multiple things for a specific season. It's so very helpful. So I'm going to use some big stars, some small stars. I'm just using my Dollar Tree stencil brush here. And then I am going to coat the edges with dark and decrepit liquid patina. Y'all, if you have not seen this as a stain, look at as I wipe it back. It's beautiful. You can use liquid patina as a stain, as a decoupage medium, as a glaze. It could be used for so many things. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to bring it on the front and kind of bring it in towards the wood just to create a little bit more depth and that rustic look. And then I'm also going to put it on the back. This is a raw piece of wood, so this was my way of ensuring that it was sealed on the back. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, just had to show you it. And liquid patina dries uber fast. All right, so now I'm just taking the DIY clear wax. If you guys do not have this in your crafting arsenal, you need to check it out. It lasts forever and it is craft changing, okay? After this is dried, we are going to take some burlap ribbon. This does not have any wire in it, and we are going to put this all the way around our wood piece. I'm going to take some hot glue, just a thin amount, and I'm going to hold this and pull very tight on my wood because I don't want gapping and I do not want it loose. I want it nice and fitted and tight. I'm going to do the same thing on both sides, and then as I'm coming towards the top, I'm also going to hot glue that, because if I were to have just tied it directly into a bow, it would have brought that ribbon together and it just wouldn't have looked right. So put a little bit of hot glue there, and then we're going to do a simple bow. And it might sound silly, but this bow turned out so stinking cute. I just did a generic, what would we call this, a shoe tie bow, you guys. And then I did ensure to get some hot glue and just press it down in the middle so it was attached to the wood. And look at how cute that looks. And I'm going to dovetail that, and look at how stinking cute this is, you guys. So simple. All of these are very simple but impactful. They're going to look good in any home decor. And if you are a reseller, these are so easy to make and create multiples of. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. Comment down with that I got from Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to use Salvation Solution, the wood blocker, on this. Again, this will be restocked as well in my next order. And I'm going to coat all of my spindles. Now, this is just one of those generic spindles. You guys can head to the hardware store if you guys do not have any luck finding them on Facebook Marketplace. And I believe at Menards, they're under $6. So they aren't that pricey for just the standard generic spindles. And I cut 3 pieces out of 1 spindle. So it's an option if you guys can't find them used. After I'm done coating this with a Salvation Solution, we're going to grab that marquee and I am going to go around this. And at first I was like, oh, I need to paint this, then distress it. It's like, no, I'm just giving it a messy coat so that wood comes through. I'm not going to be nice and neat here. After that, I'm going to do one of them with vintage linen. This white is so beautiful. And now we're going to go in with Hey Sailor. After I'm done painting all of them, I did decide to stress it down just a little bit more on those hard edges of the spindles, just for the marquee one and the Hey Sailor one, just bringing more of that wood out. Now I'm going to take Big Top, and Big Top is a clear coat. It kind of acts like a polyacrylic. It's a top coat. You could use it on furniture. So we are going to use it on these 3 pieces. I feel like it's just going to help me lock in more of those tannins and stuff that the wood blocker is going to. And I wanted to darken up my colors just a tad bit instead of using wax. So after we're done with the Big Top and that dries, I am going to go and grab the red one, and we are going to drill holes as close to the middle as we can, and we're going to do that with all 3 pieces. Now I think you guys know where this is heading, and after I'm done with that, I'm going to take some twine. Now I braided this because I had a different image in my head and it didn't work out, but I will say it did help get the twine in the hole. So I always hot glue the end of the twine It helps it not fray as you are sticking it into the hole. And I'm just putting hot glue down in there. I cut the excess off, and see, I thought I was gonna do like the braided piece so it would be nice and like sturdy and then have the frayed pieces hang out, but it just didn't look right. So I cut them down, and then I'm just pulling apart the pieces of twine to make it look more frayed and like sporadic. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the red. Put some hot glue in there, stick my twine, cut the top off, and then fray it. And I love these. All right, now I'm taking two pieces of paper. I just cut them in a tag shape, and I'm using scraps. So I didn't want to show the white back of them, so I just layered two different scrapbook pieces of paper together to create a tag. And after that dries, we are going to get out our IOD stamps. If you invest in any stamps, you guys, get these letterpress stamps because it's 3 different fonts in here and you could use them for so much. So I'm going to spell out my word before pushing it down. I take my kitchen mat, I'm going to stamp it with some black IOD ink, and we got boom. Hey, this looks so cute. And I was so impressed, you guys. I actually found a hole puncher. Yeah, I found a hole puncher. I mean, where was that? So I'll punch a hole in it. Then I get this beautiful brown and red twine. I'm going to wrap it around the top, tie it in a knot. We're going to put that little tag on there. I think this just helps kind of identify what these spindles are for those that maybe aren't as crafty as we are. And then I tie it in a bow. Now for this one, I am wrapping this around to create a finger bow. I will leave my bow video down in the description box, and I am going to cut the loops in half. And this is just going to give us a frayed kind of rustic look. And I am going to hot glue that to the corner of our marquee spindle here. I also add a button, but of course I have to take out every single button and look at it, and then I end up going with the first button. See it up top that, I found before I even poured it out. And I'm gonna hot glue that just to give it a little bit more pizzazz, okay? We always need to accessorize our things. I think that's the funnest part about crafting. All right, then of course I had to just kind of bring that twine in to the blue. So I'm simply just going to wrap it twice with this twine. And I think it just kind of brings all 3 of them in without going overboard on this one. And look at how cute these little firecracker spindles came out. Great way to utilize old spindles if you have them, or go get one at the hardware store. If you guys enjoyed this DIY, drop me a heart down in the comments. Thank you guys so much. I know this video is short, but I wanted to just give you a little taste of patriotic DIYs so that I can get a feel for if you guys are into very easy. I think this is a donkey, but I'm not sure. I got it at Savers, shocker, and I am going to wipe this down. Now, I thought this was going to be a very easy flip, but can I just tell you this took me 40 minutes to paint, okay? We're taking Hey Sailor, and I am going to have to do 2 coats of this because trying to get in between this donkey's legs and tail, it ended up leaving some streaks. So the second coat was a little easier than the first coat, let me tell you. This is how our donkey looks dried down, which is absolutely beautiful. But to make it match the rest of my decor, I wanted to clear coat it with the big top. And I've been getting in the habit of just putting a little bit of it in the lid of there and then just wiping the lid off when I'm done. So just a little hack if you guys don't want to get out a bowl every time you use it. But you can see it's going to give it kind of like a satin sheen. And then we are going to go in with our white wax. I'm going to mainly focus that white wax on the detailed part of the donkey. And then as I wipe it back, it's going to show all of those beautiful details, and then we'll kind of buff it into the rest of the donkey. So I wanted the highlight of the white to be on those details. So I'm just taking a paper towel and I'm wiping back the details first, and then the remnants of that white wax I'm buffing into the rest of the donkey to create a cohesive look. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. There are some spots like the inside of the ears I decided not to wax just so they kind of look a little bit more defined. But I loved how this turned out. It's an easy way of taking an older item or maybe something unique that you see at the thrift store, and then bringing it to life and using it in your decor. This came out so cute. I love it with these books and that stoneware picture. It is gorgeous, and I gave it new life. It was dirty and dingy, and now it looks like a part of some Americana decor. I hope you guys enjoyed. Our next one, we're going to have 4x4s and 2x4s, and we are going to create a stackable flag here. So you're going to need 5 pieces total, or I mean, go crazy and make it as big as you want. So we are going to do 2 of these, one long, one short. We are going to do with vintage linen. You want to make sure that you're doing at least completely your sides. You are stacking them on top of each other. So if you choose not to paint the entire top of one of the pieces, that's fine too. Then you're going to take one of the short, one of the long, and you are going to paint that in marquee. And for our 4x4, we are going to be taking Hey Sailor and painting that as well. Now, again, we are taking that stencil and we are going to be stenciling on some stars. I swear, I don't think I've ever used a stencil as much as I have used this stencil. After we're done with that, we are going to glue these together with some wood glue. Now, make sure when you are putting them on top of each other that you are making sure that your sides are straight. And then you'll see me turn this because you also want to make sure it's straight as you're looking at it sideways. You know what I'm saying? So like you don't want any of it coming off to the right or the left. So just make sure that you are checking your stack as you're placing it, then let it dry. Now I cleared this with clear matte by Rust-Oleum, and I left it in the garage overnight, and then it made this weird like fading color. I don't know what happened, but I'm not mad at it. I like it. So to end this one, I'm going to take some of this beautiful red and brown twine and I'm going to wrap it around the stack a few times. And then I'm going to get a bead of hot glue, tack that off on the bottom and cut that off. Now, I thought I needed something a little bit more, so I got just a piece of that twine, tied it in a bow, and I know it might seem like weird, but you'll see it just tied it all together. At least for me, I really like how this turned out. And you can rough this up, you could sand it down, and you can make it your own as well. But I love this, and it was such a great way. Like, this is a great way of using scrap wood as well, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Video off, we are going to be using 3 4x4s, and I promise y'all I will put the measurements in the description box. I always know, like, say I will and then I don't, but I really will this time, okay? Pinky promise. So we are going to take marquee, Hey Sailor, and vintage linen. All 3 of these colors plus more are going to be restocked on the website unicorndustdesigns.com by June 7th. I know some of you guys have been waiting for these colors. I am going to do all 4 sides and the top and the bottom. I chose to do a more rustic look, so I'm not looking for full coverage here. On the second 4x4, I am going to be using Hey Sailor. The third one, I am choosing to use the vintage linen, which is one of my favorite whites out of the DIY collection. Now I'm going to be using my reusable stencil. I created this with my Cricut and a folder divider from the Dollar Tree. I'm using the Dollar Tree stencil brush and I am using a stippling motion with very light paint. I don't do, if you've seen people stencil before, they do like a circular motion. The folder dividers are far too thin to be able to do that. So that is why I do the stippling, pouncing up and down motion when I use them. For the white one, I'm going to use marquee because obviously I can't do white because that wouldn't show up, you guys. I mean, hashtag obby. So we are going to finish that one. Then we are going to move on to, what are we moving on to? Okay. We are going to find our center on the top of these so we know where to drill our hole. So I just go in an X motion and I find that center. I'm going to drill a hole in there. I'm choosing to use sisal rope that you could get at the hardware store because it's a little bit more stiff and it holds its shape versus just like falling down. So I'm going to put some hot glue in our holes, put that sisal rope back in, and our last step is just going to be clearing these with Big Top, which is a hardening clear coat, and it's water-based. It is perfection. And this is how our little firecrackers turned out. This is just another take on them. I think it's a little bit more simple than most of the ones that we see done, and it could really fit with any kind of home decor, which I love even more because they're easier to sell. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very easy wood DIY. For barn, I think it's Barn Red and then Worn Navy by Verathane. And I'm going to take these images. I got these from graphicfairies.com and I just printed them on tissue paper on my inkjet printer. I'm going to stain this first one with Worn Navy, and gosh, I need to use this color more. It is so beautiful. The second one, I am going to stain the back and all of the sides. Look at how pigmented that is with the Barn Red. After those dry, I'm going to cut out our, I guess you could say, decoupage paper. Again, these are just on tissue paper, and I used a regular inkjet printer. And I am going to cut these out. I decided that I was going to do clean lines for these. And for our 2x4 one, we are going to paint the front of it white. And this is going to make our image really pop. And then I went too far over the sides, so to make it look like I meant for it to look like that, I decided to just distress the rest of it with the white. With the blue, the image that I printed out, the two blues did not match at all. So to try and fix that, I decided I would kind of do like a messy like wash of the vintage linen in the background just to break up some of that blue. See, you can see how bright blue that is. Now I'm going to take our images and I'm going to lay it on top of my wood piece. I'm going to take liquid patina, which is a decoupage medium. I have this available on my website, unicorndustdesigns.com. I place it on the back, and then whatever I have left on my brush, I push down the tissue paper with the brush. And this actually came out really good. I hardly had any wrinkles on this. Now, when you print your images though, at least wait 30 minutes. Sorry, I don't know what was happening with my focus right here, but wait 30 minutes or your colors will smear. So I do the same thing for this one. We're gonna go ahead and let those dry. Now for the block, for the 2x4, I need to sand in downward motions to get this excess off. Again, a very easy way of creating multiples if you're somebody that likes to resell or do craft fairs. And then this one, I didn't like how stark white it was showing up against the image. So I added some dark wax and then I buffed that out around the edges, and I really like how these turned out, you guys. Look at how cute these are, and so very simple to make. You can make these in a variety of sizes, colors, images, seasons. So a really, really easy way of adding some beautiful home decor with wood inside your home or on your booth or at a craft fair. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I found this at Savers. It was like $4.99, but I knew there was going to be a vision for this. So I start with the marquee on the bottom, and it was perfectly numbered. I was able to do every other, and it fit and wasn't all wonky. So I do 2 coats of the red down on the bottom. I was inspired by a piece I actually saw at the flea market a couple weekends back, and when I saw this, I knew exactly what I needed to do with it. So I'm going to do every other. Then for this part, I am going to go in with Hey Sailor. Now, if you're freehanding and you're not using tape, the easiest way of getting clean lines is just pushing a flat synthetic brush into your creases. So you can see I'm pushing it down into the crease and then pulling it back, and this is going to give me pretty clean lines. Now we're taking that pennies from heaven. You guys saw me use this in the last video, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a copper look somewhere in here. I told you, copper and this red, white, and blue looks gorgeous. So I did 2 coats of this color. This is a liquid patina, so it is going to be a little sheer. So to get exactly the color I want, I needed to put 2 coats. Now I'm going to take that reusable stencil. I will put this SVG file in the members only link, and you guys could use it as you wish. So I'm going to do some little stars, some medium sized stars, and I'm just going to put this all the way around. I will say I am using the JRV stencil brush that I got from Brie, and I don't know why I waited so long to use it, but this brush is legit. I really, really like using it. It's very blunt. Is blunt the word at the end? And stiff? I don't know. I like it. It worked well. All right. So I cleared the entire piece with Big Top, but then I shared this picture on the membership group, and we came to the consensus that the top needed to be painted. So we end up painting it with Marquee, and I do 2 coats of it, and then I clear it with Big Top once again. And I want to know your guys' opinion, because also in the membership group, I initially wanted to put a hole in the top of it to put a American flag in there. Some people said it needed more than one. Some people said to leave it as it is. So I couldn't commit, and I left it as is. So comment with a flag if you think I should have put a hole in the top for the flag. Let me know your thoughts, because I couldn't decide this DIY. All right, our next one is going to be super easy, you guys. I'm going to take these Patriotic flowers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take the Decrepit Dust from DIY. I'm going to rub it on to my flowers. This is going to give it like a dingy, dirty, old look. I did try staining these with tea, but the flowers would not take the color whatsoever. So my second thought was the Decrepit Dust, and it worked beautifully. This will be coming in my next shipment along with the white Decrepit Dust as well. And you could see right here how it looks just like dirt is on it, basically. You guys know I like the crusty and dirty stuff. So after I'm done with that, we're going to grab this copper piece, and I'm just going to fill it with scraps of my floral foam. I don't glue anything down because I don't want to hurt my copper, okay? So I am very lucky and usually find copper pieces at the thrift stores, so make sure you're on the hunt for garage sales and thrift stores. I am then going to take some fabric that I tore into pieces, and we're going to wrap that around our copper. It's almost like a little pot or utensil holder, and tie that in a knot right here, and then I'm going to cut the excess of that off. I just wanted some kind of like fringy something hanging. Now this fabric has a little bits of gold glitter on here. So I took this gold glitter star and I hot glued that on, and then I'm just going to add my florals to this. Now copper, you guys, is going to be such a beautiful way of adding decor into your patriotic pieces. It is so vibrant and it looks great with the red, white, and blue colors. So if you have any copper, if you thrift copper, pull it out and use it in your decor this coming season, because it is definitely going to be a standout. So after playing with the arrangements, we are done. Like I said, a quick and easy DIY using copper pieces. I love how this turned out. However, I don't know if the star looks tacky or not. I pulled it in because there's kind of glitter in between the flowers. You have the brass handles, and then you have the glitter in the fabric. If you do think it's kind of tacky, then comment with a star. That way I know to take it off and replace it with something else. Don't worry, you won't offend me. Go ahead, drop the star if you think it's tacky. It's okay. Okay, our last one. Oh my God. I feel like I look like a wild woman. I tried like the beach waves, but it just looks like I did not brush my hair. Well, I didn't brush my hair. I was trying to go for the beach waves because I didn't brush my hair. Let's be for real. Okay. All right. You got gear, you moving and grooving. You stay away from the stairs.
I love how she rolls. Yep, roll it to one side. What side are you going on now? The other side. Mover and groover. Oh, we got one leg, a side leg shuffle. There we go. Good job.